Hello and welcome back to A Method to the Madness, Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host, Patrick, and joining me is Mitchie.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode 4, Bullet Points. What happens in this episode? I don't know. I guess we'll get into it. I don't know why we bothered to do like a little summary before the summary, but...
Yeah. I guess the main thing that's happening is that, I don't know, the heat's back on Walter again in terms of the police investigating him.
Right. Yeah, stuff is starting to pick up again, which is good.
Yeah, because we've had a few episodes of peace and calm, character development, that kind of shit.
Yeah. All right, let's go into it.
All right. Mike is defending a Los Polios truck transporting meth shipments. When the truck is attacked, he kills the assailants at the cost of a big chunk of his ear. Walt and Skyler prepare an elaborate story about Walter having a gambling addiction and a successful card counting method to mask Walt's involvement in the meth business. They break this story out to Hank, Marie, and Walter Jr. at a dinner. Later, Walter is shocked to learn that Hank is investigating Gail's murder. Hank says that he believes that Gail was the elusive Heisenberg and expresses regret that he was not able to arrest him. When Walt asks Hank about the investigation, he learns that the only leads are some fingerprints and an eyewitness spotted at the scene. Hearing about this evidence, Walt is spooked and worries that the police will connect Jesse to the murder.
Alright, so yeah, start off the episode with that truck raid where they just fucking spray that truck full of bullets.
Yeah.
And Mike I wouldn't say that's a considerable chunk of his ear. I'd say it's like in terms of getting your ear shot, that's like the best it could possibly be, I reckon.
Yeah.
It wasn't much.
I guess if your ear gets shot, sure, but like I wouldn't be too happy if that's what happened to my ear.
Yeah.
But man,
No,
this is one of my most memorable like intro scenes from a Breaking Bad episode. I don't know, I just very like viscerally remember this scene. It's just such a good scene.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know, Mike's just so efficient with his killing.
I know.
Just like bop, bop, bop.
Is this the
and
first
then they both
time
fall out that we see Mike kill?
Well, that we see Mike like be a badass like hitman?
Yeah, maybe.
When's that scene? Like, I don't know if it's after this where he kind of like that Chinese dude is being like held hostage and he goes into this building and shoots that dude through the wall and stuff.
That's in season 5.
Okay, right, yeah. So this is one of the first times then that we kind of see him, you know, be an efficient hitman, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. Very important to like establish that about him.
Yeah, because he's fucking OP.
Yeah, he's cool as.
Yeah.
All right, and then we see. All right, so Skyler is really taking initiative to solidify Walt's story as a gambling addict. And you know, of course, this is ironic because while it is a fake story, a gambling addiction is actually very pertinent to what Walt is going through.
Yeah.
Of, you know, like gambling with his life, kind of.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so they're learning how to like count cards. And then remember in the pilot episode when we learned that Skyler is like a writer and she's trying to get some short stories published? And we see that skill come in here when she's like meticulously made a fake story and a script.
Yeah. It's a bit much.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, but you know, as it's funny because you're, as you say, like it does seem overboard, but I actually think it is pretty necessary because like as she says, like Hank, they're trying to fool Hank, who's like a DEA agent. And
but I mean, Walt's fooled Hank up to this point by himself.
Yeah, but like I don't know, it's naturally like shit is expanding. That, you know, they've got a bunch of money and they're buying a car wash.
True.
And like they haven't had to explain this much away.
Yeah, I guess you got to make sure your story's like completely clear. Like there's no fucking it's watertight, right?
Yeah. Still though, it's a funny scene just watching Walt's reaction to like Skyler's like, maybe I'll shed a tear, and he's like, well, you're gonna cry on cue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his sarcasm's great.
Yeah. And then
I also like the fact that how Hank kind of like Walt questions why they shouldn't just tell Hank that they're paying for his health insurance or, you know, his medical bills.
Yeah.
And you know, Skyler's instant response is like, well, you didn't take the money from the what's his name, the Schwartzes, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And it's just like fair enough. I was like, you got him there. Like in fact, why didn't Walt even think of that immediately? Like, of course he should understand that Hank would be too proud to take the money like he was.
Dude, she gets him so good. He has
Yeah.
nothing to say.
But he's so, it's almost ignorant from him. It's like he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that what he's done is not wrong, but, you know, the same thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then they go to Hank and Marie's, and I love this shot when they're outside their place, waiting for them to answer the door.
Yeah.
And it's focused on Walt's face. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And just how effectively he changes his demeanor. Like he's such a faker. He's such a fucking poser.
I know. For such a nerdy chemist, he's like actually a really good actor.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once again, as this show does, you know, Walt's sins once again finding a way back to haunt him when they decide to watch the Gail Bedecker video.
Oh, bruh. That is literally, I think, the most iconic thing I can remember from Breaking Bad. Like, 100%. I don't know why. Just the first time I watched it, I was like, that is the funniest shit. You know, especially the fact that the like, obviously for them it's comedic, but for me it's comedic that they're laughing at this and all the irony, because, like, Walt just knows exactly who he is. And it's just Major Tom too. I really like the song, and there's like this Thai script down the bottom. Like, I don't know, it's like a karaoke video. Maybe he was on holiday in Thailand on holiday in Thailand or something. And it's just like so random, so good.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's just so idiosyncratic, like Gail Bedecker himself.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like like as you said, like all the subtitles and shit. It's just so many like random yet fitting details about the show.
They nail it, right? Like they really fit the persona of him.
And then I like how Hank runs into Walt in the hallway, and he's genuinely trying to be a good guy. He's like, hey man, if you ever want to like talk, like, you know, you can bend my ear anytime. That was nice to see. You know, setting up for the betrayal later on, obviously, but Hank is a top-notch guy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then you know, of course, Walt returns the favor, but only as a ploy to get, you know, in the notebook.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we get this iconic scene where he goes, you know, WW, who does that mean?
Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Walter White, and then he goes, you got me. Now, Hank already suspects Walter of being Heisenberg. Yes or no?
Of course not.
What? Really? I think he does.
Nah.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I think
you reckon?
Because I think the performance here says a lot from Hank's actor. Because why? You know, when he says that, he's like, the way he's looking at Walt, it's just like,
it's sus.
Like, obviously,
100%.
you know, at this point in the series, and judging, you know, from the episodes that follow, how he like drops the case and stuff, obviously his suspicion is probably like less than 1%, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, he hasn't entirely ruled it out, and it's crossed his mind. Is I think the main thing about this.
I don't know. Like I 100% agree. His expression does make him look like he is suspecting it, but everything else he does, plus the fact that it's his family, and, you know, like, spoilers, but, like, you know, at the end of the series, his actions then and the way he speaks then, it's almost like he's so shocked that it really is Walt. You know, like, he couldn't believe it. It's almost like it's I don't know. I honestly don't know about that.
Okay, well, another thing that gets me as well is when, you know, he passes that to Walt and he's like really sussing him out, and then Walt goes, it's a poem by Walt Whitlam, there's your WW, and then Hank just goes, I was really chasing my tail about that one, and he's like really relieved, which I think is like another detail that leads me to suspect that, you know, he
doesn't want to think it's Walt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, there could be like some sort of inkling there, but like I feel like, you know, as a police officer or DA agent like him, right? Like, you know, I don't know what they're like usually, but I feel like a lot of them would kind of put everyone in the suspect box and then fit it to the evidence and see what they can do. And he's just thinking like, oh, well, it's coincidental that these initials are the same as Walter White. I'm going to put him in the suspect box, but I don't really take it seriously. And then, so I guess maybe like, yeah, if that's kind of like how he's going at it, then I could believe that maybe he does suspect Walt, but not too seriously, like he wouldn't go and tell like Gomi like, oh, I think Walter White is, my brother-in-law is the Heisenberg. He just thinks only in his own head that, and would never tell anyone.
No, yeah, that's pretty much what I think as well.
Okay, that's believable. It is interesting though.
I think my brother-in-law is Heisenberg. Ain't that right, Gomi? That's how I imagine it.
Where is Gomez? I haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah. What a character. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. All right. There's only one paragraph left. It's about Jesse. It's very short. So the remaining part of the episode. Meanwhile, Jesse is still stuck between a rock and a hard place as he deals with his murder of Gale. This behavior leads to concern that he's unable to be a reliable employee. That concerns from Mike and Gus. The episode ends with Mike driving Jesse to an unknown destination. Probably leaving out the fact that Walt went and talked to Jesse about the connection, but we can talk about that too.
Yeah. Well, it also leaves out the scene where he goes to speak with Saul.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I like how, he says something like, am I the only one who can act like a professional?
I literally wrote that down too. It's such an interesting line.
Yeah, well, of course, such a hypocrite, because, like, everything he's done so much shit that has put him in this precarious position, like, insisting that they have to fire Gale and hire Jesse because Walt was kicking up a fuss about that.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just one of many examples of Walt inconveniencing everyone around him, not acting like a professional, that has eventually led him into this position.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, did you have any more to say about that scene?
Well, I thought that scene was important because it for the first time, lays out the blank slate, like, thing you can do as a criminal from Gus. Sorry, not Gus, Saul. Which, has massive implications later on, ironically for Saul. But yeah, so we get introduced to that concept.
A Hoover Max Pressure Pro Model 3000.
What's that again? That's
what you ask for when you call.
Oh, yeah.
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 And then we see the state of Jesse's house, and it's just turned into like an actual crack house now.
Yeah, it's even worse than before. Like graffiti all over the walls and stuff.
Yeah, and then he, he takes that e-girl back to his room to play Mario Kart, as you do.
Was that Mario Kart?
Oh, it was like the Sonic one or something. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. Like, he takes a girl back to his room, they start playing that.
Yeah.
And then he gets his money stolen by that dude.
Yeah.
And then he immediately gets it back, which implies that Mike was staking out his house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, what a shit job that must be, just staking out a crack house 24/7. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, Mike's job in general doesn't seem too flash.
Yeah.
Like, he even said once that Walt and that get paid a lot more money than him. So, it's kind of sad. Like, he's doing all the dirty work and he actually gets paid less.
You're kind of like murdering people as well and you're getting paid less. That must suck. Yeah. Okay, and then Jesse doesn't show up to work, and then Walt goes to investigate, thinks Gus has killed him, which is a fair enough response to that, I feel.
Yeah, 100%.
Then Jesse is in the car with Mike, and they're driving somewhere, and then Mike says, "You want to know where we're going?" And Jesse goes, "Nope." So, yeah, long story short, Jesse is at the height of his drug-fueled depression in this episode, and yeah, he's, again, like other characters go through, he's very suicidal at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's on the recovery after this.
Yeah.
It's good.
So we get to see our boy do good.
Also, he shaves his head in this episode, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time he has his shaved look.
Right, and that's the classic Jesse look we have from here on.
Yeah, but I just find it interesting. I was thinking about it. Literally every man except Saul, that's reasonably important, is bald, right? Especially the criminals. Like, obviously Walt, Gus, Victor was pretty much like had no hair. Mike doesn't have hair. Tyrone, that new guy, he doesn't have any. He's Tyrus. He's he's bald too. Now Jesse's bald, and it's like, why is Jesse going bald? Is it like, he's finally murdered someone, right? He's finally a criminal. which all of them before have murdered people. All of the people I've listed out have murdered people, right? And they're all bald too. And especially Walt, he murdered Crazy 8, and then pretty soon after that, like, he shaved his head too. It's almost like going bald is like a symbol for murder, except for Hank. Unless Hank's probably murdered too, actually.
I think there's a causation there. I think murdering people in cold blood makes you go bald.
Why? But Hank is bald too. I feel like he's probably killed people, but only in the heat of the moment, being a DA agent.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, maybe murdering people in general then makes you bald.
Yeah. It's almost like, and it's almost like Jesse, by shaving his head, adopts that criminal persona. You know, like criminal. It's good to be bald as a criminal for a bunch of reasons, right? Like, especially if you're murdering people regularly, it like totally removes the evidence of hair falling off your head and stuff. Like, it's a typical thing, I would imagine. And like, you know, he's adopting that. I don't know. Like, that's probably not what he's thinking about.
Never thought of the practical aspects of being a bald criminal, but there you go.
Well, that's why I think it would be like, criminals tend to be bald in my mind, sort of a little bit. You know, they tend to have short hair, right? Probably because of that reason. But Jesse in general is adopting, like, I am a criminal now. Yeah.
And that's just the typical thing you do when you're in crisis. You just shave off your hair.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Apparently,
it's really, really helpful if you break up with someone. I wouldn't know, but like I wouldn't know about whether that would help with a breakup or not.
I would love to see you shave your hair. That'd be funny as.
Yeah. Nah.
All right. I think that's it for this episode.
That's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, and join us next time.
Yep. See ya.
To WW. My star, my perfect silence. WW. I mean, who you figure that is, huh? Woodrow Wilson? Willy Wonka? Walter White? You got me.
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.